Hello. You wanted to join the Lyceum today? Okay, great. Aristotle's giving another lecture today. He's going to be talking about algebra and art and philosophy, of course, even though philosophy encompasses many branches of studies such as science, math, just metaphysics, rather. I was about to say, what is it called? But yeah, metaphysics. Philosophy covers a lot of things, not just why, but like a lot of things that people don't know. But yeah, Aristotle's going to be covering that. He's going to be covering a wide variety of things, including why women cannot do anything. Now, may I have your name, please? Okay. I will do my best to try and spell that. And you are in fact a male, so you are allowed in. Okay. Now, what is your role in society? Are you a common folk? Do you have any title? What is your position? And your level of education thus far? Well, the courses are set out as thus. There's really, you just walk around, you simply talk and discuss all these sort of questions that pop into your head, or just join a topic that's already going on and contribute whatever ideas you might be having or any sort of notions that might contribute to further develop the conversation already taking place. Socrates was an example in the sense that he would just walk around and discuss all sorts of matter with his pupils, and then who was involved, Plato, and Plato did the same with his pupils, and then Aristotle was one of his pupils, so he ended up, doing the same after that as well. Although Aristotle was the one who further developed the Lyceum and, schools of that nature. Yeah, Plato, during his time, Plato discussed the theory of forms, which is really the theory of what the ideal is versus the imperfect. So basically everything that we see now, when we are aesthetically pleased by it, that means it is close to perfect form. However, if something is not pleasing to our eyes, that means it's far away from a perfect form, I believe, something like that. But that there is no such thing as the perfect form in this reality, because it's on another plane. That's when he delves into the metaphysics, and the people take it as a theological conversation, and I think one of his topics in regards of that ended up kind of spawning the I think it was him who said the good, the righteous, or something like that, and it was like something that had to do with a triangle, basically, a triangular sort of phrase that became quite popular throughout history. Yeah, you can just chillax, you can relax, you can ponder about, or wonder even, wonder and then ponder about different sort of topics that concern you. You can just sit on the steps of the stairs, as long as you're not blocking, anyone else's pathway, and simply think about or brainstorm certain topics, think about them. If you end up developing an idea that is quite original, or one that hasn't been discussed about, you can start talking about it with someone else who might take an interest in it. If they don't, just find someone else until you do, and then you can continue discussing it, and if it is important enough or interesting enough, one of the big time philosophers would discuss it with you, maybe even Aristotle himself. We have many philosophers partaking of the Lyceum. It's really just a congregation of thought coming together. Aristotle's a bit of a jerk, to say the least, but that doesn't cancel out all the knowledge that he has and all of his analytical mind matched with his lack of boundaries when it comes to thought. He is quite ahead of his time in certain aspects, but quite behind his time in others, but I guess it compensates. And then obviously Socrates, who's my favorite. Like, that guy is just a party, like he's a party animal. Let's be honest. Socrates over there just being like, why? Why? But why? Like, he was a child. He was like he had that childish pranking sort of air, and he was incredibly humorous and funny, and he was also a great brain within a fleshy corpse that ended up, you know, getting murdered because no one wanted to deal with questions. And people kept thinking he was corrupting the youth of the time with his questions, and I'm like, he's just trying to educate them. If that is considered corruption, then you're gonna lead us into the Dark Ages. Okay. My apologies, I started ranting. I forgot to ask you the rest of the questions. Now, I already asked you that. What is your role in the sense of family? Are you a father yet? Are you single? What is your demographic? Okay. And how much property do you have? Okay. Okay. Well, the way the day is broken down and how the coursework goes is that Aristotle at the current moment conducts morning sessions, and then he reparts his the documents or the research papers that he's been working on among his students, that way they can study up. And then his students are also assigned a task to make more research upon the scientific and mathematical fields, so that they can contribute to progressing, you know, humanity to a more intellectual standpoint. And that's basically it. So he's been reforming the Lyceum and how people should perceive intellectual pursuits the best he can, hence why I'm not too troubled by his more controversial, to say the least, standpoints, because he has made a lot of contributions, such as the fact that the Lyceum is probably going to be the prototype to a much more common and far-reaching type of school, which in some places you're going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for, but in other places it's going to be virtually free, like here. Let me think. Actually, while I think of other information I give you, may I have your age, please? Okay. And with what field of philosophy are you interested in, such as the arts, science, math, metaphysics? What piques your interest, basically? Okay. And what field in specific within that one? Because we have zoology, biology, anatomy, even though that's biology, but zoology, biology, botany, yeah, so is there any field in particular and specific that you'd like to enroll in? Of theater or art or sculptures, which we're quite advanced in as well, because unlike other cultures before us, we actually capture movement and we detail the hair, the fabric of the individual we're drawing, or rather sculpting. Basically a lot of things, really. Hence why they're so impressive, because we detail it to a T compared to cultures before us. But typically we usually sculpt, you know, the gods, you know, Zeus, Persephone, Hades, Aphrodite, Athena, Artemis. I think those are the 12 big gods minus Persephone. I don't think Persephone's in there. Demeter. I can't pronounce her name correctly. But Persephone's mother, she's part of the 12 big gods. I think she's in charge of harvest and not fertility, but harvest, grain, you know, sort of natural agriculture in general, basically. Aphrodite, beauty. Zeus, just lightning bolts, power. Hades, the underworld. Poseidon, the waters. So that's 3, 4. Hera, which is just the patron goddess for women. But I find that kind of ironic, considering how she's so catty and quite she really goes after the women that her husband basically rapes, and that's kind of wrong. But you know, that kind of matches a certain dynamic in a future world power that I won't go there. But it's kind of ironic that she represents women when she's, you know, being so cruel to the women that get raped by her husband. Hera, she's motherhood, womanhood, and I think that might have been Aphrodite's love, beauty, fertility. I believe that might be Hera's forte, though sometimes they overlap simply because they're both quite in tune with women. However, Aphrodite's more straight up, though. I quite appreciate that. Aphrodite's more like, hey, I am not that great of a person, but you're gonna still accept me because I'm fabulous. While Hera's like, I am a great person, but at the same time, she does some very ungreat things. Just like Zeus, so they're the perfect match. That's 5, I believe, that I'm on. Ares, god of war, who has an on and off again relationship with Aphrodite, who's married to Hephaestus, who's the smith, blacksmith of the gods, including Zeus, who he makes the lightning bolts for Zeus. But he's quite ugly and deformed, and he was kind of sent somewhere where no one else has to look at him, which is really cruel. But he is the nicest god, which is ironic considering how he's also the ugliest one that no one wants anything to do with, which is sad because they're all jerks. Like, all the Greek gods are jerks. Ares, Aphrodite, Artemis, I believe. What was Artemis? I think she was in charge of the hunt, and everything that has to do with, you know, warriors and female warriors, I believe. I don't know, something like that. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and intelligence. I quite like her myself. So Athena, Ares, Artemis, Zeus, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, Aphrodite, Demeter, Apollo. He's the I think he's the sun god, I think, and then his sister, who I forgot the name of, is the moon goddess, I believe. Who else? Someone else. I'm missing someone, but oh well. Anyways, they're going to be discussing Hellenism as well, simply because that is something that is prevalent within the Greek culture, obviously. I don't think they discuss Christianity all that much yet. Definitely not with Aristotle. Aristotle definitely does not discuss Christianity, but other teachers in the future might, especially after 0 AD, or rather 33 AD. They definitely discuss it after that, or not even after that. Around the time of, I think, 275 to 433 AD is when the topic really comes into play. But yeah, so that's really where Christianity comes into play. Otherwise, we simply discuss Hellenism. We also discuss astronomy. I always get astronomy and astrology mixed up, but astrology belongs to the Babylonians, although astronomy also belongs to the Babylonians as well. It's not the one that has to do with, you know, like, I'm a Capricorn or I'm a Virgo. It's the one that has to do with, you know, the placement of the stars, how the sun moves, or how the earth moves, or how the moon moves, how the cosmos is basically in relation to us. So we talk about that a lot. But that's during, we discuss that now, but the topic really explodes later on during the after AD. So probably in like the 300s, late 200s, early 400s AD. That's around the time where a philosopher named Hypatia and her father really explored the topic, especially Hypatia. Hypatia is quite known for having discovered quite a lot of information about the placement of the sun and the way the moon rotates and whatnot. So she is quite knowledgeable on that aspect. However, just like Socrates, she was blamed for corrupting the youth of the time, and she was also used as a scapegoat for the ensuing rivalry between the Hellenists and the Christians, and she was murdered by Christians quite brutally. They ended up stripping her bare naked. I think they ended up dismembering her body, or they ended up, I don't know, it was like a whole process. Her death was a whole process. It was quite a loss for the intellectual community, but that's what I believe I recall this one woman named 13 telling me. Anyways, who else? Well, she discusses that as well. What else do we discuss? I don't know, we just discuss a whole wide variety of things. There is no limits, there is no repercussions. You can discuss whatever you want as long as it's productive and, you know, in pursuit of something. Like if you start discussing, you know, how you want so-and-so to get together with so-and-so, then obviously you gotta move along. But if you're contributing thoughts or abstract ideas into the conversation, even if it's, you know, not going to be important enough to progress anything, if it's interesting enough, they'll still go along with it. So, give me one more moment. I'm simply going to be jotting down some notes. I simply want to take account of how your physical aspect is so that way I can register you into our books. Aristotle is famed to be having his own personal library. I believe it's the beginnings of the Library of Alexandria. I don't know though, can't say for sure. However, I believe that the Library of Alexandria was truly top 10, one of the biggest tragedies of humanity, because had it not burned down, imagine how far ahead we could have progressed, how quickly we could have evolved technologically and intellectually. But no, Julius Caesar just had to accidentally burn it down. So that's why I'm not a big fan of Julius Caesar. Like, you burned down the Library of Alexandria. How big of a mistake could anyone possibly make? Like, all of that knowledge, all of that information from all the philosophers accumulated in there, lost. It was like a Google building, like ancient Google, and he burned it. Oh, it sucks. But anyways, that's in the future. That's I forgot, but I know it's not AD, but it's close to AD. It's like 33, 30, no, not 33. Like 40s BC, I think. Somewhere in like the 40s, 50s, or 60s BC, somewhere in there. I'm thinking more 40s or 50s though. I'm thinking that. Anyways, last question. How long do you plan on being enrolled with the Lyceum? Okay. And how did you hear about us? Oh, obviously. They keep talking about us outside. Yeah, it's becoming quite prestigious for people to come and, you know, join us. People who accompany Aristotle in his teachings are considered men of wisdom and intellect. But really, you could do that in your own, you know, place of dwelling. You can easily think and, you know, explore abstract thought. It's just fun, and also satisfies your social need to discuss it with other philosophers, and it also does help you progress whatever thoughts you have. But it's okay if you think about that. I mean, Aristotle encourages people to think within their own homes. They don't necessarily have to be given validation from others to continue thinking. You know, you can just think for yourself. But the people are starting to realize that this is a place of prestige, which is fine with me, because if they come here looking for prestige, at least they're gonna also enroll some nuance of a capability of thinking for themselves, or thinking in general to progress the human intellect. Oh, Sappho, that was another one. Sappho is also, well, she's not here, but her writings are here, and along with other artistic sort of people who really progress the art of literature and also theater. So it's gonna be quite fun. you are enrolled. So congratulations, you can now attend the Lyceum. Well, now that you're enrolled with us, you now have full privilege to walk upon the grounds of the Lyceum in, full free will. Although that's debated within the philosophers as well. Everything is debated within the philosophers. The existence of God, the, existence of what love really means, free will, capability of thought. A lot of things are debated, but now that you're enrolled, you have the membership of going in there, and you are free to do whatever you want in there, as long as, you're just contributing to productive thought. But other than this, are there any other questions you might have for me? No? Okay, excellent. In that case, have a lovely day. Or, why would I ask you to have a lovely day? Why would you want to have a lovely day? I'm just kidding, it's just Socrates. Anyways, have a lovely day.